Alright, so this is the library research database tutorial. If you already have experience with database research and you feel comfortable with that, you may go ahead and go for that. This tutorial is for people who've never done database research at all before, or have in the past but like don't really remember. So that's essentially what this is for. But if you already have a plan, go ahead and go for that. Alright. So I'm going to be modeling what you're going to be doing. So if you're able to watch this video while you do this on your computer, that would be ideal. Okay. So go ahead and pause and set that up. Now, the first thing we're going to do is you're going to go to library.laverne.edu. That's right up here. You can also access this from the library, from Laverne's website, but it's easier just to go library.laverne.edu. And then this is your home page that will click up. The first thing that you're going to do is make sure that the Articles and More tab is clicked on. It usually is. Then you're going to click on Databases by Subject. Then go ahead and go down to Child Development right here. Alright, and you can choose from any of the 16 databases for child development. I would, if you're like, I need guidance, like 16, like what's the difference between them? I would encourage you to start with any of these top ones. These are the ones that rated by librarians and students have found the most useful when dealing with child development issues. But definitely, if you have better luck with some of the other ones, please, by all means, go ahead and do that. With child development, a lot of the issues are related to education. So if that's something that you think that you're going to be interested in your research paper, you're going to want to click number 2 or 3. Sage and Academic Search Premier are good if you're kind of like, I'm not really narrowing in on a specific discipline yet, but just like kind of let's just see what's out there across interdisciplinary, right? Personally, I have the best luck starting off Academic Search Premier, so I'm going to click on that. And what you click on, it will look a little bit different what comes in the next site, but for the most part, this is what you're going to see. Sometimes they're just called different things. Like subject terms is called thesaurus with a different database. That's what I mean. And so right now, I'm very well aware, like we haven't read anything besides the diagnostic essay prompt for this class. So I'm not expecting you to come in with this idea of what you're going to write your 8 to 10 page paper on. Just entering into the field, what are you kind of interested in off the bat? So if this completely changes from what you do your paper on, completely fine, normal, most students do, but just we need to start somewhere. All right. So I use the example of autism. Okay. So say you're kind of interested in autism, you don't really know what. If you had to pick an age range, maybe adolescence, but as far as like guys, girls, socioeconomic class, ethnicity, I don't really know. Just autism and teenagers. That's kind of what I'm interested in, right? So I would put autism, and then I would click and, because I don't want just anything on autism. I want it on adolescence as well. All right. So when you start off, it's going to be very general, something like that. And then all down here, this is like how you filter it. These are search modes and expanders. If when you get later on in your research, you might want to click on find all of my search terms. But right now, I'm going to say find any of my search terms. No, actually, it'll be more useful if I do this. I'm going to click find all of my search terms because, like, let's say that I want to know about autism and adolescence both. If you click any of them, it will bring stuff separate for autism and separate for adolescence. So we want to do both. At this point, early in research, I'm not quite sure what terms scholars are using, so you're going to want to click Apply Related Words, which is essentially the computer saying, so they don't really use the word autism, they use autism spectrum disorder, ASD. Do you want us to look for articles related to that too? And you would click yes. Then full text will give you, they won't give you any other articles they don't have early on your research. I would encourage you to not click that because you have time to find other articles. If the computer brings up something that is an article that they don't have, they'll find it for you. And so your research paper's not due for another 10 weeks. So that's something we want, right? So we're not going to limit it to only full text, but this is probably the most important thing that you click on this page is scholarly peer-reviewed journals. So this keeps away anything that you would just, any articles you'd find from Google, right? This is articles that scholars have published in academic journals that are part of academic conversations, right? So this is the main thing that you need under limit your results, scholarly peer-reviewed journals. For languages, I'm going to click only English. And then I believe that's all I'm going to do just because it's a general search. Feel free to get more creative with that. Definitely utilize these. These are helpful. I'm not going to go into them right now for time purposes. So this is what I'm going to start off with. I'm going to search. Okay. All right. And here comes up with 1,000. That's good. Maybe a little bit big for initial things that I'm looking at that I don't really know specifically what I want to go through, right? So change your relevance to, do you want it the most relevant to your search terms, newest, oldest? When I start off, I don't really know what I'm looking for. I'm definitely going to click relevance. So make sure that's selected. And then from here, you're going to go and read the titles, right? From the titles that interest you, go ahead and let me see if it's, yeah. So for Academic Source Premier, if you click on this right here for the highlighted, it comes up the abstract. So for the titles that I'm interested in, I'm going to read the abstract, and if it sounds like, yeah, that's something that I could potentially maybe write about, then I am going to use that article for the database research assignment, all right, which is in the mod 2 and looks like this, all right. So essentially for your assignment, you are going to fill out these 5 columns for 4 different articles, okay. This right here is essentially what I covered in writing. For those of you who are like, I'm not an audio learner, I need a visual. Usually working with, like, watching the video then using this as you go is kind of the best for students. So this is, I want to explain what this is in the mod. Okay. What I have a couple other things I want to show you for this video. You can change this to or, right? So it doesn't have to be and, or if like something keeps saying you don't want, like you want adolescents but you don't want children, but stuff for adolescents and children keeps coming up, put autism and adolescents, and I'll put not children. All right. Another thing is the asterisk for in your search terms. So there's different words. So if you say not children, it will give you stuff related to child, but not children. So say you're like, I don't want anything related to children, child, none of that, right? You're going to put child, like the root word, and then you'll put an asterisk, right? That's the same if you're looking for stuff related to grandparents, right? You want stuff related to grandparents, grandparenting, grandma, grandpa. You would write grand and then the asterisk, and it gives you, in this case, since I have not, it will give me everything that is not related to like grandparenting, But if I put and, it will include everything related to that. So that's another way to play around with search terms. Up here for subject terms, like I said before, depending on what database you choose, if it's not Academic Search Premier / EBSCOhost, same thing. This might say thesaurus. Go ahead and click on that. This is very useful when you're just starting off doing research and you're searching terms that may not be academic terms. For example, ASD is something that those within the discipline of autism often use. And if you're clicking autism, it will definitely stuff will come up. But for example, if nothing's coming up for autism, you would click an autism right here and it show you examples of what scholars are, other words that they're using besides autism. So you could add those to your search terms. So make sure that you're adding those notes into the assignment that you're filling out for this database research assignment. I believe that is all the things I wanted to show you for this. Let me just pause and make sure. Yeah, so the last thing, for this assignment you need to find 4 articles that you're interested in. No accountability to those articles. You can completely ditch them later on. That's just for points for this assignment. For your final research paper, you need to have at least 5 academic articles, and you could have 1 book. If you're like, I already know right now I do not want to use a book, that's fine. 6 articles. All right. So you essentially need 6 academic sources. 1 of them can be a book. Excuse me, using books are very useful for like background information. So say for example with using autism, if you wanted to give background information before you got into what individual scholars say, a book source would be really useful. So for book sources, go ahead and click on book, and you can do ebook, or you can search books through the actual library. You could have those books mailed to you, because I know the majority of you live far. So there's options for that, right? And the book searching is way more simple. You essentially click on book, click search terms, and do you want ebook, dissertations, which we don't want. I just would start with U of V books in general keyword, right? Or if you have the idea of, I know this book I found on Amazon or whatever that relates specifically to this, does Laverne have that, or could they mail it to me? That you would click like the title. As far as like finding sources, if there's like a source that the database comes up with that they say Laverne personally doesn't have this, but a different database or different university does, they'll get it for you, and the link to the interdisciplinary loan will come up right there. But if you know the name of some article and you want to request it yourself, go to find and click interlibrary loan, and it will have you fill out a form, and it's really easy and it's free and very, very worth it, even if you're not sure if you're going to use it. Anything you might think would be helpful. And then the last thing I want to show you is chat with a librarian. So say while you're doing this assignment, you rewatch the video, you're like looking at the note sheet I made, you're not really sure, you've emailed me, but you're like, I want to know right now because I'm doing database research. Click on this chat with a librarian. It's very helpful. It's 24 hours. And you can request to do an appointment over the phone, email, text, or if you just want to like instant message with them right here, that's what this is for. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. Your job is to find 4 articles that you're interested in and fill out this sheet for it. Alright, and you'll be uploading this sheet in Module 2 for assignments. Okay, so email me with any questions or anything.